Please like the video and share it so that it reaches many more people and you get sawaba, or rewards from Allah. This could be a sawabe jariyah or continuous reward for you long after you are gone.
Freeing Slaves, Volume 3, Book 46, number 693 to 739. Volume 3, Book 46, number 693. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, "Whoever frees a Muslim slave, Allah will save all the parts of his body from the hell fire as he has freed the body parts of the slave." Said bin Marjana said that he narrated that hadith to Ali bin al-Hussein, and he freed his slave for whom Abdullah bin Javar had offered him 10,000 dirhams or 1,000 dinars. Volume 3, Book 46, number 694. Narrated by Abu Dar. I asked the Prophet, "What is the best deed?" He replied, "To believe in Allah and to fight for his cause." I then asked, "What is the best kind of manumission of slaves?" He replied, "The manumission of the most expensive slave and the most beloved by his master." I said, "If I cannot afford to do that?" He said, "Help the weak or do good for a person who cannot work for himself." I said, "If I cannot do that?" He said, "Refrain from harming others, for this will be regarded as a charitable deed for your own good." Volume 3, Book 46, number 695. Narrated by Asma bint Abu Bakr. The Prophet ordered us to free slaves at the time of solar eclipses. Volume 3, Book 46, number 696. Narrated by Asma bint Abu Bakr. We were ordered to free slaves at the time of lunar eclipses. Volume 3, Book 46, number 697. Narrated by Ibn Umar. The Prophet said, "Whoever manumits a slave owned by two masters, should manumit him completely, not partially, if he is rich after having its price evaluated." Volume 3, Book 46, number 698. Narrated by Abdullah bin Umar. Allah's Apostle said, "Whoever frees his share of a common slave and he has sufficient money to free him completely, should let its price be estimated by a just man and give his partners the price of their shares and manumit the slave. Otherwise, i.e. if he has not sufficient money, he manumits the slave partially." Volume 3, Book 46, number 699. Narrated by Ibn Umar. Allah's Apostle said, "Whoever manumits his share of a slave, then it is essential for him to get that slave manumitted completely as long as he has the money to do so. If he has not sufficient money to pay the price of the other shares, after the price of the slave is evaluated justly, the manumitted manumits the slave partially in proportion to his share." Volume 3, Book 46, number 700. Narrated by Ubaidullah. As above, briefly. Volume 3, Book 46, number 701. Narrated by Ibn Umar. The Prophet said, "He who manumits his share of a slave and has money sufficient to free the remaining portion of that slave's price, justly estimated, then he should manumit him, by giving the rest of his price to the other co-owners." Nafi added, "Otherwise the slave is partially free." Ayub is not sure whether the last statement was said by Nafi, or it was a part of the Hadith. Volume 3, Book 46, number 702. Narrated by Ibn Umar. That he used to give his verdict regarding the male or female slaves owned by more than one master, one of whom may manumit his share of the slave. Ibn Umar used to say in such a case, the manumitted should manumit the slave completely if he has sufficient money to pay the rest of the price of that slave, which is to be justly estimated. And the other shareholders are to take the price of their shares, and the slave is freed, released from slavery. Ibn Umar narrated this verdict from the Prophet. Volume 3, Book 46, number 703. Narrated by Abu Hurairah, that the Prophet said, "Whoever frees his portion of a common slave." Volume 3, Book 46, number 704. Narrated by Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, "Whoever frees his portion of a common slave should free the slave completely by paying the rest of his price from his money if he has enough money. Otherwise the price of the slave is to be estimated and the slave is to be helped to work without hardship till he pays the rest of his price." Volume 3, Book 46, number 705. Narrated by Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, "Allah has accepted my invocation to forgive what whispers in the hearts of my followers, unless they put it to action or utter it." See Hadith number 657 Volume 8. Volume 3, Book 46, number 706. Narrated by Umar bin al-Khattab, the Prophet said, "The reward of deeds depend on intentions, and every person will get the reward according to what he intends. So, whoever migrated for Allah and His Apostle, then his migration will be for Allah and His Apostle, and whoever migrated for worldly benefits or for marrying a woman, then his migration will be for what he migrated for." See Hadith number 1, Volume 1. Volume 3, Book 46, number 707. Narrated by K. When Abu Hurairah accompanied by his slave set out intending to embrace Islam, they lost each other on the way. The slave then came while Abu Hurairah was sitting with the Prophet. The Prophet said, "O Abu Hurairah, your slave has come back." Abu Hurairah said, "Indeed, I would like you to witness that I have manumitted him." That happened at the time when Abu Hurairah recited the following poetic verse: "What a long, tedious, tiresome night. Nevertheless, it has delivered us from the land of Kufa, disbelief." Volume 3, Book 46, number 708. Narrated by Abu Hurairah, "On my way to the Prophet I was reciting, 'What a long, tedious, tiresome night. Nevertheless, it has saved us from the land of Kufa, disbelief. I had a slave who ran away from me on the way. When I went to the Prophet and gave the pledge of allegiance for embracing Islam, the slave showed up while I was still with the Prophet, who remarked, 'O Abu Hurairah, here is your slave.' I said, 'I manumit him for Allah's sake,' and so I freed him." Volume 3, Book 46, number 709. Narrated by K. When Abu Hurairah accompanied by his slave came intending to embrace Islam, they lost each other on the way. When the slave showed up, Abu Hurairah said to the Prophet, "I make you witness that the slave is free for Allah's cause." Volume 3, Book 46, number 710. Narrated by Aisha. Utbah bin Abi Waqqas authorized his brother Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas to take the son of the slave girl of Zamar into his custody, telling him that the boy was his own, illegal, son. When Allah's Apostle went to Mecca, at the time of the conquest, Sa'd took the son of the slave girl of Zamar to Allah's Apostle, and also brought Abu bin Zamar with him and said, "O Allah's Apostle, this is the son of my brother, Utbah, who authorized me to take him into my custody." Abu bin Zamar said, "O Allah's Apostle, he is my brother, the son of Zamar, slave girl, and he was born on his bed." Allah's Apostle looked at the son of the slave girl of Zamar and noticed much resemblance to Utbah. Allah's Apostle said, "It is for you, O Abu bin Zamar, as he was born on the bed of your father." Allah's Apostle then told Sauda bin Zamar to observe veil in the presence of the boy, as he noticed the boy's resemblance to Utbah, and Sauda was the wife of the Prophet.